Jayden Daniels. I have him ranked as my QB12. Right now, his ECR's expert consensus rank is the QB18. I got two sides to this story here, okay? There are similar red flags as Zach Wilson to Jayden Daniels. He'll turn 24 years old this season. Didn't break out until his sixth college year when he had two wide receivers who were drafted in the top 25 of the draft. Really bad pressure to sack rate. He's 6'4", 200 pounds, and his best comp is Johnny Knoxville. Honestly, there's a really good chance that they regret passing on Drake May here. However, this is a fantasy show. Daniels is the best scrambler ever to enter the league. Averaged more than 60 rushing yards, 34 touchdowns in college. You look at the NCAA leaders by fantasy points per dropback in Power 5 schools. Jalen Hurts had the best season ever in 2019. Daniels, number 2 last year. Compare Daniels' last year fantasy points per dropback with Caleb Williams' best year. Williams got 0.81. Daniels 1.20. I mean, it's a different class here. The history of 9 quarterbacks have ran for 100 yards in their first 2 years in the league. 8 of them have averaged more than 18 fantasy points per game. I mean, it's just a cheat code. I don't know how Cliff Kingsbury is going to do as OC. He'll have Terry McLaurin, the running man. It both increases his floor and his ceiling. I don't think it's wild to have him as the QB 13. I have him over Jordan Love. Now, maybe that's the hot take. But really, are we drafting Matthew Stafford at his age? Kirk Cousins, 36 years old, coming off Achilles, new team. Tua, Goff, Rodgers, Herbert. I mean, that's not a hot take. I'm sorry. Daniels is the QB 12.
Where did you say he was in expert consensus ranks?
18 right now. Yeah. I mean, that's this isn't even I opened up with not even a hot take here, right? I mean, this is going to move there. I mean, Jayden Daniels is going to be drafted as a top 12 guy, I feel like, in August.
Well, in early best ball drafts, ADP of QB 18, according to Fantasy Pros consensus data, which, listen, I'm with you 100%. Like, anybody that knows Dalton is, and I kind of almost like I should say this for maybe new listeners to the podcast. Like, Dalton is not, Stephen A. Smith or something like that. He's not just making hot takes for hot takes. He's not Skip Bayless, but he is an aggressive ranker and an aggressive drafter, as Andy Behrens likes to make fun of you for, like he did on the previous episode. But they always come with well-reasoned thoughts and like should push you to consider your priors, number one. And number two, like, you get good results. You are a good ranker objectively on a weekly basis, on a draft ranking basis. It's just the reality of the situation, buddy. So like, I will pump you up and say that you come here with some of these hot takes and they sound aggressive and then they end up working out. And this one with Jayden Daniels is going to work out for you. This one, I'm totally on board with you, just from the rushing perspective. And it is kind of funny that, some fantasy analysts are going to come out here over the summer and be like, Jayden Daniels is a QB1. And like, it's not an aggressive take. It's not a hot take, really. It's honestly kind of like, it should be obvious at this point, just because of that rushing boost that you mentioned. This tweet from Ian Hartitz that I included in my rookie quarterback write-up in terms of how they're going to impact their offenses. Per game fantasy football ranks of quarterbacks with 125 plus carries in a season in NFL history, minimum of 8 games. 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 17, which was 2020 Cam Newton, Patriots COVID Cam Newton. So yeah, if you're going to run the ball 125 plus times, you're going to be a dynamic fantasy quarterback. Daniels ran the ball 135 times last year, 8.4 yards per clip. He's probably not going to do that in the NFL. And I do wonder about like the injury risk just because of his playing style. But yeah, overall, I'm with you that Daniels is going to be. I'm interested to see where he ends up being drafted, just because there are a lot of decent quarterback options this year. I don't know that he's going to go full sophomore season Lamar Jackson and be drafted as a QB2 and become one of the top scorers of the position. But the floor from a rushing perspective is absolutely there.
Yeah, the key is, can he stay healthy at his size and the recklessness of the way he plays? But also, maybe I'm wrong about the passing and the late breakout. I mean, he was really good this last year, and maybe he's even there's upside there too. So I think it's fair that he's going to settle in as at least a top 15 guy come August, and the more aggressive drafters will treat him as a top 12. My next take.
Well, let me just finish up on this one here, because my question to you was going to be, how do you regard that situation in Washington? Because I think I can go back and forth on it, right? Because again, I could go back and forth on. I could talk myself in multiple different directions, which I can kind of do with Jayden Daniels as a player. But I overall think like he's going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. I think it's just the long-term ceiling, the second contract question, stuff like that. Did Washington make a mistake passing up on Drake May, as you mentioned? Maybe that's what it ends up looking like. But just in terms of the situation in Washington to drop a rookie quarterback in, how do you kind of regard that?
Well, for fantasy terms, we love Scary Terry. He's an alpha. Poor guy just continuously gets shaky quarterback play, though. But outside of that, I think we realized that Dotson, we all overrated. I mean, McCaffrey, Sanat, I don't know how to pronounce the rookie's tight end's name. Help me there. And playing outdoors, Cliff Kingsbury, offensive line. I mean, it's not the greatest setup there for fantasy terms for him to land in, but at least Daniels will get a shot. For real life football, I think, I don't know. I'm not a college ball guy, but man, if I just look at the resumes objectively, it seemed to me they made a mistake here passing on Drake May, but May's going to have a tougher time proving them wrong in the New England setup there. But you look at Washington, you look at New England, these are how teams are supposed to look like when you get drafted high, unlike Caleb Williams, who happened to be the top pick and also gets, these awesome receivers to throw to. That's why I actually do have him Caleb ranked one spot ahead of Daniels in fantasy, despite the rushing differences. I think, Caleb, A, the talent, and B, just the setup pushes him slightly above Daniels for me on my fantasy board.
I think that makes all the sense in the world. Yeah, with Washington specifically, Cliff Kingsbury, I think he designs a good run game. I don't love the pass game design. I'm kind of mixed on him as an offensive coordinator. The offensive line is a huge problem, and I think that could end up being a debilitating thing for this offense. That certainly has me concerned. And then the skill position talent, I love Terry McLaurin. I still have a lot of hope for Jahan Dotson being a quality NFL starting receiver. I don't know if he's going to be a fantasy superstar, but just quality NFL starting receiver. But that's it, though. Then after that, I think it's kind of a mixed bag. And then the running back committee could be good, but how good are they going to be with Jayden Daniels sort of siphoning some work from them as well? So I think it's going to be a weird offense for fantasy, but I think for Jayden Daniels, he's going to be fine there. So